3 days after I bought my first house, I came home from a 12-hour hospital shift and found my sister's name taped over mine on the mailbox. Not a joke. Not a mistake. A strip of pink painter's tape covered the little white label that said Natalie Whitmore. Written over it in glitter marker were the words, Brooke and Mason. My hands were still cold from the hospital. My scrub still smelled like sanitizer and cafeteria coffee. I stood at the curb staring at that mailbox, trying to understand how someone else's name had appeared on the first thing I had ever truly owned. Then I looked toward the house. My front door was wide open. A pink banner was taped across my fireplace. It said, "Welcome home, Brooke." Moving boxes were stacked in my hallway. A baby-name book sat on my kitchen counter. Someone had hung pale yellow curtains in my spare bedroom, and my younger sister was standing in my living room pointing at my wall and saying, "The nursery would look better over there." For a second, I honestly thought exhaustion had finally broken my brain. Then my father walked out of my bedroom carrying a black trash bag full of my clothes. He held it out to me like he was handing over leftovers. "Take what you need for the week, Natalie," he said. "Brooke and Mason need this house more than you do." That was the moment I understood. My family had not misunderstood me. They had not made a mistake. They had decided that the house I worked 7 years to buy should belong to my sister, and they expected me to be grateful for the chance to disappear. My name is Natalie Whitmore, and for most of my life, I was the daughter who made everything easier. That was my job in the family. No one said it out loud, of course. No one ever sat me down and told me, "Natalie, your role is to carry everyone else's problems quietly." But that was exactly how it worked. I was the one who stayed calm. I was the one who adjusted. I was the one who said, "It's fine," even when it wasn't. I paid for dinners when my parents forgot their wallet. I drove across town to pick up prescriptions. I fixed my mother's phone, took my father's dog to the vet, covered Brooke's overdraft fees, and smiled when no one said thank you. My younger sister Brooke had a different role. Brooke did not have problems. Brooke had hard seasons. Brooke did not waste money. She was investing in herself. Brooke did not quit cosmetology school. She was protecting her mental health. Brooke did not fall behind. She was waiting for her moment. When Brooke cried at the kitchen table because she felt like everyone else her age was moving forward, my mother hugged her and said, "Your time is coming, sweetheart." When I cried in my car after a double shift because I was too tired to drive home, nobody knew. Because I did not have the kind of pain my family honored. Brooke's pain was delicate. Mine was useful. I worked as a respiratory therapist at a community hospital in Ohio. It was not glamorous work. I did not float around in cute scrubs taking smiling selfies at a spotless nurse's station. I spent long nights helping people breathe, answering alarms, wiping sweat from my forehead with the back of my wrist, and drinking vending machine coffee that tasted like burnt cardboard. Some mornings after a night shift, I sat in my car with both hands on the steering wheel and reminded myself to breathe. Not because I hated my job, because it took everything out of me, but I was proud of my life. I had built it myself. I did not have a husband splitting bills with me. I did not have parents slipping me money because I cried loudly enough. I did not have anyone quietly covering my car insurance, rent, phone bill, or groceries. Everything I had came from overtime coupons, packed lunches, used furniture, and saying no to things I wanted because I was saving for something bigger. A home, not a mansion, not some luxury place with marble counters and a driveway full of cars. Just a small blue ranch house on Maple Hollow Lane with old kitchen cabinets, a cracked front step, a squeaky hallway floor, and a backyard big enough for tomatoes. The first time I walked through it, the realtor apologized for the outdated bathroom. I almost laughed. All I saw was peace, a bedroom where I could sleep after a night shift without anyone calling me selfish, a kitchen where I could make coffee without being asked to solve someone else's crisis, a front door that closed, a lock that belonged to me. When my offer was accepted, I sat in my car outside the hospital and cried into my steering wheel. Quietly, the kind of crying that happens when you finally reach something you thought life might keep moving away from you. After 7 years, I had done it. I had bought something no one could take credit for. At least that was what I believed. I told my family at Sunday dinner. My mother, Linda, had made pot roast. My father, Warren, had the football game on so loud the windows rattled whenever the crowd cheered. Brooke sat across from me, scrolling through wedding centerpiece ideas, even though she and Mason had not picked a date yet. Mason was her fiancé. He worked as a mechanic at a local dealership. He was quiet, polite, and always looked like he was trying to avoid stepping on emotional landmines. I liked him. He was one of the few people around Brooke who did not immediately turn into an audience. I waited until everyone had food on their plates. "I have news," I said. My mother smiled. "Good news." I nodded. "I bought a house." For one perfect second, the room went still. My mother gasped and pressed both hands to her chest. "Natalie." My father lowered his fork. "You bought a house?" "I close next Friday," I said. "It's small, but it's mine." My mother came around the table and hugged me. "I'm proud of you, honey," she whispered. I remember those words because they were rare. I held on to them for maybe 5 seconds. Then Brooke set down her phone. "Must be nice," she said. The room changed. It did not explode. It tightened. I looked at her. "What does that mean?" She gave a little shrug. "Nothing. It's just interesting." "What's interesting?" "You buying a 3-bedroom house when you're single." Meanwhile, the Mason and I are trying to start a marriage in a 1-bedroom apartment with a broken dishwasher. Mason looked down at his plate. My father cleared his throat. My mother suddenly became very interested in cutting her carrots. That was the first warning. I tried to keep my voice soft. "Brooke, I didn't buy it to make anyone feel bad. I've been saving for years." She smiled, but there was nothing kind in it. "We know, Nat. You're responsible. You always make sure everyone knows." There it was. That little knife Brooke knew how to slide between normal words. My father leaned back in his chair. "How much room does the place have?" 3 bedrooms, I said carefully. 1 bathroom. Finished basement. Brooke laughed under her breath. "Of course." Mason looked at her. "Brooke." What she snapped. I'm happy for her. Nobody believed that. My mother reached for my hand. "It really is wonderful, sweetheart." But she said it too quickly, like she was trying to cover a stain before it spread. 2 days later, Brooke posted a picture of my house from the online listing. She did not tag me. She wrote, "Some people get their dream before the rest of us." Even when Grandma always wanted the first real family home to go to someone building a family. I read it in the hospital break room while my frozen dinner spun in the microwave. Grandma, our grandmother Ruth, had died 5 years earlier. She had never promised Brooke a house. She had never promised any of us a house. She left behind quilts, handwritten recipes, a few pieces of jewelry, and enough savings for each grandchild to receive a small amount. I used mine to pay off my car. Brooke used hers for a beach birthday trip, professional photos, and a rose gold laptop because she wanted to rebrand. There was no secret house fund. There was no first family home. There was only Brooke discovering that I had something she wanted. Within an hour, comments started appearing. "That's heartbreaking. Family should come first. Brooke deserves her turn." Some sisters forget where they came from. My chest tightened so hard I had to sit down. Then my mother texted me. "Not ignore your sister. Not I'll tell her to take it down. Not we know you earned this." She wrote, "I wish you had talked to us before making such a big decision. Brooke is very hurt." I stared at the message. Then I replied, "I did talk to you. I told you at dinner. I bought the house with my own money." 20 minutes passed. Then she wrote, "Sometimes being right isn't the same as being kind." That sentence followed me through the rest of my shift. I kept hearing it while checking oxygen levels, adjusting equipment, and comforting a woman whose husband could not breathe without help. Sometimes being right isn't the same as being kind. In my family, kindness always seemed to mean giving Brooke what she wanted, and being right meant I was selfish for noticing. The week I closed on the house, nobody from my family came. Not my mother, not my father, not Brooke. Mason texted me privately, "Congratulations, Natalie. That's a big deal." I stared at his message for a while, because it was the only simple kindness I received from anyone connected to my family that week. My best friend Tessa came over with pizza, a toolbox, and 2 folding chairs. She helped me assemble a cheap bookshelf in the living room. We laughed when we realized the previous owner had painted around furniture instead of moving it. We ate pizza on the floor, drank soda from paper cups, and made a list of everything that needed fixing. The front step, the loose cabinet handle, the hallway light, the bathroom mirror. It was not glamorous. It was perfect. For one evening, I let myself believe the worst was over. 3 days later, I came home from work and saw 3 cars in my driveway. My father's truck, my mother's SUV, Brooke's white sedan. At first, I thought someone had been hurt. I rushed inside with my hospital bag still over my shoulder. Then I saw the banner. "Welcome home, Brooke." The moving boxes, the baby name book, the yellow curtains, and my sister standing in my living room as if she had been waiting for me to catch up to what everyone else had already decided. My mother turned from the sink with a nervous smile. Before you get upset. Before I get upset, I repeated. Brooke rolled her eyes. Here we go. I looked around my living room. Why are your things in my house? My father stepped forward. We need to talk like adults. No, I said. You need to leave. His expression hardened. Don't speak to me that way. Dad, you are standing in my house with Brooke's boxes. Brooke crossed her arms. Your house. You keep saying that like it means something. I stared at her. It means I bought it. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Natalie, honey, your sister and Mason are engaged. They need stability. They want children. This is a family home. I gave a small stunned laugh. It became a family home the second I paid for it. My father pointed toward the hallway. You don't need all this space. So because I'm not married, I don't deserve bedrooms. That's not what we're saying, my mother whispered. It is exactly what you're saying. Brooke stepped closer. She looked beautiful that day. She always looked beautiful when she was about to be cruel. Soft sweater, perfect hair, gold necklace my mother bought her after she cried about feeling behind in life. A house means more when there's a husband and a baby in it, Brooke said. The words landed cold. Mason and Brooke did not have a baby. They were not even married yet. But in my family, Brooke's imaginary future carried more weight than my actual life. I stared at her. So my home means less because I live in it alone. She tilted her head. I'm saying you have options. You always land on your feet. Mason and I need a real start. My father nodded like she had said something wise. You can rent again, he said. You're not losing a family home. You're just losing extra space. For a moment, I could not speak. Extra space. 7 years of overtime. 7 years of carrying sandwiches in plastic bags. 7 years of skipping vacations, saying no to dinners out, buying secondhand furniture and working holidays because holiday pay helped. And to them, it was extra space. Brooke stepped even closer. You could stay in the basement for a while, she said, or get an apartment near the hospital. You're good at being alone. That one hit exactly where she wanted it to, because Brooke knew. She knew I hated the way our family treated my life like a waiting room because I was not married. She knew I hated birthdays where relatives asked if I was seeing anyone before they asked if I was happy. She knew I hated being useful but never chosen. She did not just want my house. She wanted me to admit that my life mattered less because it did not look like hers. No husband, no wedding, no baby, no public milestone my parents could brag about. Just work, bills, quiet, survival. I looked at my sister and felt something inside me go still. No, I said. My father frowned. Excuse me? No. Brooke is not moving in. Mason is not moving in. Nobody is turning my home into a prize for her engagement. My mother started crying harder. After everything we've done for you, what have you done for me? I asked. The room went silent. Even Brooke stopped moving. I did not shout. That made it worse. What have you done for me that you didn't remind me of later? I asked. What did you give me that didn't come with guilt attached? My father's face turned red. You ungrateful girl. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. I prayed you would choose love before pride, she whispered. I looked at the banner, then at the boxes, then at the trash bag in my father's hand. No, I said quietly. You prayed I would choose surrender and call it love. My hand shook as I texted Tessa one word. Help. She arrived 12 minutes later. She walked in, saw the boxes, saw the banner, saw my father holding a trash bag of my clothes, and her face went cold. Everyone out, she said. My father laughed. This is family business. Tessa looked at me. Natalie, do you want them here? Number. Then they need to leave. My mother looked horrified. You would throw your own parents out. I looked at the trash bag in my father's hand. You threw me out first. Brooke grabbed one of her boxes so hard the cardboard bent. You are going to regret embarrassing me. No, I said. I regret giving you a key. They left, but not quietly. My father told me I was tearing the family apart. My mother said she did not recognize me anymore. Brooke stood on my porch and said, Enjoy your empty house. I changed the locks the next morning. I thought that would be enough. It was not. Brooke started posting more, not direct enough to look guilty, just enough to poison people. Quotes about selfish sisters. Videos about being the family disappointment, even when she only wanted a safe place to build a future. A picture of her and Mason captioned, praying for a door to open. My mother started calling relatives. She told them there had been an understanding. My father told my uncle I had taken advantage of being single and making more money. Then the messages came, from cousins, from old family friends. from people who had not spoken to me since Christmas 3 years ago. Is it true you used Grandma's blessing against Brooke? You know your sister is trying to start a family. Your parents won't be here forever. Don't waste time being cold. Each message felt like someone walking through my living room with muddy shoes. I stopped sleeping well. I slept with my keys on the nightstand. I woke up twice a night thinking I heard boxes sliding across the hallway. I checked the lock so often the new key scratched the paint around the door. Sometimes I stood in my own hallway and felt like I was trespassing in my own life. Tessa kept telling me, stop defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. But when the lie comes from your own mother, silence feels like confession. Then came the doorbell alert. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had just fallen asleep after a night shift when my phone buzzed. Motion detected at front door. I opened the camera feed. Brooke was on my porch with Mason. Mason was holding a tape measure. Brooke had a notebook. My stomach dropped. She tried the old key. It did not work. She tried again. Harder. Mason shifted uncomfortably. Are you sure Natalie said this was okay? He asked. Brooke snapped. It's complicated. She's emotional right now. Then she cupped her hands around my front window and tried to look inside. I called her. She ignored it. I called Mason. He answered. Natalie, he said, surprised. Why are you at my house? On the camera, I saw him turn away from Brooke. Brooke said your parents were working things out with you, he said slowly. She said you agreed we could start measuring for furniture. My room seemed to tilt. She told you I agreed? There was a pause. Brooke's voice rose in the background. Mason, hang up. He did not. I sat up in bed. Mason. I bought this house with my own money. I never agreed to give it to Brooke. My parents tried to move her in while I was at work. He went silent. On the camera, I watched him turn toward my sister. Brooke reached for his phone. Don't listen to her. She twists everything. But Mason stepped back. Natalie, he said quietly. Can you send me what she said? Brooke froze. And for the first time, the story she had been telling started cracking in front of someone she actually needed to impress. 2 days later, my mother invited me to a Sunday family barbecue. I was not going to go. Then Tessa sent me a screenshot from my Aunt Carol. It was an invitation. Family home blessing for Brooke and Mason. Celebrating their next chapter. Under the words was a photo of my house, my front porch, my living room, my backyard. Brooke had used the real estate listing photos and decorated the announcement with little watercolor leaves like it was a wedding shower. I stared at it until the words blurred. Tessa said, You don't have to go. But I knew I did. Not to scream, not to beg, not to convince people who had already chosen the version of me that made them comfortable. I went because I was tired of being erased from my own story. That Sunday, my parents' backyard looked like every family gathering I had ever known. Folding tables with plastic tablecloths, paper plates, my mother's potato salad, my father standing at the grill like he was feeding an army, kids running through the sprinkler, older relatives sitting under a canopy whispering as soon as I walked in. Brooke wore a white sundress. Of course she did. She looked like a bride rehearsing for someone else's life. Mason stood beside her, but he was not smiling. My mother hurried toward me. Natalie. I'm so glad you came. Her voice was sweet in the way people sound when they know others are listening. I looked past her. On the dessert table sat a framed photo of my house. Under it, someone had written, A fresh start for the future Mr. and Mrs. Keller. I felt something in my chest tighten. Then my father clapped his hands. Everyone, before we eat, I want to say a few words. Tessa moved closer to me. My father lifted a plastic cup of iced tea. Family is about sacrifice, he began. It's about knowing when someone else's need is greater than your own. Linda and I are proud of Brooke and Mason as they prepare for marriage. And we are grateful this family can come together to support them. People smiled. A few looked at me. My father continued. There has been some confusion and hurt feelings, but we believe Natalie knows deep down what the right thing is. My mother dabbed her eyes with a napkin. Brooke lowered her head like a humble bride in a church play. Something inside me went very calm. My father turned toward me. Natalie, would you like to say something? I think he expected me to cry, maybe apologize, maybe play the role they had written for me. The difficult daughter, the selfish sister, the lonely woman who had more than she deserved. Instead, I walked to the patio table and turned off the little Bluetooth speaker playing country music. The backyard went quiet. Yes, I said. I would. My voice shook on the first word, then it steadied. I bought that house after 7 years of working overtime at the hospital. No family money paid for it. No promise from Grandma paid for it. No agreement existed. My Aunt Carol looked at my mother. Linda, my mother whispered, Natalie, don't do this. I turned to her. You already did. Brooke's face hardened. This is so embarrassing. I looked at her. You posted my house online and told people I stole something from you. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I pulled out my phone. I'm not going to pass around bank statements at a barbecue, I said. I'm not turning my life into paperwork so relatives can vote on whether I deserve what I earned. But I will read what my own family said to me. My father stepped forward. Enough. Before I could answer, Mason spoke. No. Let her. Everyone turned. Brooke's face changed. Mason. He did not look at her. I opened the screenshots. My mother wrote, Sometimes being right isn't the same as being kind. She sent that after I reminded her I bought the house with my own savings. A few people shifted in their chairs. I scrolled. My father wrote, You can always start over. Brooke can't. My uncle stared at my father. I kept going. Brooke wrote, You're good at being alone. She said that after suggesting I move into the basement so she and Mason could take the house. Aunt Carol covered her mouth. Brooke's eyes flashed. You're making it sound worse than it was. I looked at Mason. Did she tell you I agreed? Mason's jaw tightened. Yes, he said. A murmur moved through the backyard. Brooke grabbed his arm. Mason, this is not the time. He pulled his arm away. You brought me to her porch with a tape measure, he said. You told me she was being dramatic, but that the family had already decided. The silence that followed was not confused. It was clear. It was the silence of people finally understanding exactly what had happened. My mother began crying again, but this time her tears did not move me. My father pointed at me. You are humiliating your sister. No, I said. I am telling the truth out loud. It only feels like humiliation because you built this celebration on a lie. Brooke's face twisted. You always have to make yourself the victim. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because I had heard that sentence in 100 different forms my whole life. No, I said. I made myself useful. For years. I paid when someone needed money. I showed up when someone needed help. I stayed quiet when Brooke got praised for things other people cleaned up behind her. And the first time I built something for myself, you all decided it was selfish. My mother whispered, we just wanted Brooke to have a chance. I wanted a chance too, I said. She looked at me then. Really looked. Maybe for the first time in years. I wanted a place to rest, I continued. I wanted a door I could lock. I wanted a kitchen where I didn't have to earn my seat. I wanted one thing that belonged to me without someone measuring whether Brooke needed it more. My voice broke, but I did not stop. You taught me that being strong meant needing less. But I am done shrinking my life so everyone else can feel comfortable. Nobody spoke. Then Aunt Carol stood up. She was my grandmother Ruth's younger sister. Small, sharp-eyed, and quiet in the dangerous way. The kind of woman who remembered every conversation, but only repeated the ones that mattered. Ruth never promised Brooke a house, she said. My mother closed her eyes. Aunt Carol looked around the yard. Your grandmother worried about Natalie. She used to say, that girl carries too much and asks for nothing. Ruth would be ashamed of this. My father's face darkened. Carol, stay out of it. No, Aunt Carol said. I stayed out of it too long. That was when Brooke started crying. Not soft tears, angry tears. This was supposed to be our start, she said, looking at Mason. You said you wanted a home. Mason looked at her for a long moment. I wanted to build one, he said. Not steal one. Those words did what mine could not. They reached the part of Brooke that cared more about how she looked to him than how she had hurt me. Her face went pale. Mason, please. He stepped back. I am not marrying someone who can stand in another woman's house and call it hers. The backyard went completely still. Brooke looked like he had slapped her. Mason, don't do this here. He looked around at the framed photo of my house, the fake blessing sign, the relatives staring in stunned silence. You did this here, he said. Then he took the small silver key ring from his pocket. I recognized the plastic tag on it because Brooke had shown it off at dinner 2 weeks earlier. It was the spare key to their apartment. He removed it from his ring and placed it on the dessert table beside the framed photo of my house. I need space, he said, and I need to think about what kind of family I was about to marry into. Brooke started sobbing. This time no one rushed to comfort her. Not immediately. That was the consequence she had never expected. For once her tears had no audience ready to clap. My father slammed his grill lid shut. This family is finished if you walk away, Natalie. For the first time in my life, that threat did not scare me. Because I finally understood something. A family that only survives when one person stays silent is not a family. It is a hostage situation with holiday dinners. I picked up my purse. No, I said. This version of the family is finished. The one where I pay cover, forgive, smile, and disappear so Brooke can have the spotlight. That version is over. My mother reached for my arm. I stepped back. I love you, she whispered. I wanted those words to fix something. They did not. Love without respect is just control with a softer voice, I said. Then I walked out. Tessa followed me to the car. Neither of us spoke until we reached the end of the street. Then she started crying. I looked at her stunned. Why are you crying? She wiped her face. Because you finally said it. I laughed then. One broken little laugh that turned into tears of my own. I cried in the passenger seat like someone had opened a window in a burning room. Not because I had lost my family. Because I had stopped losing myself. The weeks after that were quiet in a way I was not used to. My father did not call. Brooke blocked me on social media. My mother sent one message that said, I hope you're happy with your choice. For the first time, I did not write a long reply. I did not defend myself. I did not explain. I did not beg her to understand. I just put the phone down. I changed my emergency contact at work. I stopped covering bills that were hinted at, but never directly asked for. I stopped rushing over every time my mother used the word family like an alarm bell. For the first few nights, the quiet felt strange. I slept with the hallway light on. I kept expecting my phone to buzz with another crisis, another accusation, another message telling me I had broken everyone's heart by refusing to break my own. But slowly the quiet changed. It stopped feeling like punishment. It started feeling like peace. Mason came by once alone. He stood on my porch, holding a small cardboard box. Brooke wanted me to return these, he said. Inside were 2 coffee mugs my mother had taken from my kitchen during the moving box invasion. The whole thing was so ridiculous that I almost laughed. Thank you, I said. He looked tired. We called off the wedding, he told me. I did not know what to say. He looked at the house, then back at me. I'm sorry. I should have asked more questions. You were lied to, I said. Still, he replied. I believed the version that made things easy. That sentence stayed with me, because that was what so many people had done. They believed the version that made me selfish because it was easier than admitting my family had treated me like a resource instead of a daughter. Fall came slowly that year. The maple tree in my front yard turned orange at the edges. I painted the kitchen cabinets cream. Tessa helped me hang curtains. Aunt Carol mailed me one of Grandma Ruth's old cinnamon bread recipes with a note that said, "Make this in your own kitchen." I taped the note inside a cabinet door. One Saturday morning, I woke up without checking my phone first. The house was quiet. Not lonely. Quiet. There is a difference. I made coffee. I opened the back door. Cold air moved through the kitchen, carrying the smell of wet leaves and someone's wood stove down the block. I stood there in my socks, looking at the yard I had mowed myself, the fence I planned to fix in spring, and the little patch of sunlight where I wanted to plant tomatoes. And I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. People think dignity looks dramatic. They think it is a perfect comeback, a slammed door, a speech that makes everyone regret hurting you. Sometimes dignity is much quieter. Sometimes dignity is changing the locks. Sometimes it is not answering the guilt text. Sometimes it is eating dinner alone in the home you paid for, and realizing alone feels better than being surrounded by people who only love you when you are useful. I did not get the family apology people dream about. My father never admitted he was wrong. My mother never fully understood why her tears stopped working. Brooke never posted the truth online. But I stopped needing them to confess before I believed myself. That was the real freedom. Because family is not supposed to be a place where your dreams go to be divided up. Legacy is not what parents hand to the loudest child. Legacy is the courage to stop repeating the same unfairness just because it has been happening for years. And self-worth is not something your family gets to vote on. For years, Brooke said I was good at being alone. She was wrong. I was good at surviving people who made me feel alone. There is a difference. I still live in that small blue house on Maple Hollow Lane. The hallway floor still squeaks. The bathroom is still outdated. The front step still needs repair. But every time I turn my key in the lock, I remember what it cost me to get here. Not just money, not just overtime. It cost me the version of myself that believed love meant surrender. And I would pay that price again, because a home is more than walls. A home is the place where no one gets to erase you. A month after the barbecue, I bought a small wooden sign from a local craft fair. Nothing fancy. White paint, black letters. I hung it by the front door right where Brooke's pink banner had been. It said, "Welcome home, Natalie." The first sign in my house had tried to erase me. The last one reminded me I was still here. So if you have ever had a family member call your boundaries selfish, or act like your hard work belonged to someone else, I hope you remember this. You are not wrong for protecting what you built. You are not cruel for refusing to be used. And you are not alone just because you finally chose yourself. Tell me in the comments if you came home and found your family moving your sister into the house you bought. Would you expose them in front of everyone? Or would you walk away quietly? And if this story touched you, subscribe for more family drama stories about betrayal, dignity, and finding the strength to take your life back.